Sophia adjusted her graduation gown for the 10th time, her fingers trembling slightly as she smoothed out the wrinkles in the fabric. The auditorium was buzzing with excitement, filled with graduates and families celebrating the culmination of years of hard work. For Sophia, today should have been the happiest day of her life. She had fought through sleepless nights, endless research, and the pressure of achieving something that felt almost impossible. Her doctorate was more than a degree. It was proof of her dedication, intelligence, and perseverance. Yet, beneath the excitement, a storm of anxiety churned inside her. Her heart kept drifting toward the empty seats where her parents were supposed to be. They had promised. That promise had carried her through the roughest nights of her study. Every time she doubted herself, she imagined their smiles, their proud eyes, the warmth of their hugs when her name was called. That vision had kept her going. But now, as the ceremony began and the crowd cheered for the graduates, she realized the seats were still empty. She tried to push down the disappointment, focusing on the bright lights, the speeches, and the crowd applauding the achievements of others. But her mind kept drifting. She thought of Michael, her younger brother, always charismatic, always the center of attention. He had a knack for making everything about him, effortlessly drawing people into his orbit. And today, as it turned out, he had hosted a pool party at the same time as her graduation. Her parents had chosen that instead. The text message from her father appeared like a punch to the gut. "Sorry, we got caught up at Michael's pool party. Have fun, honey." The words felt cold, dismissive, almost cruel. All the preparation, the sacrifices, the nights spent studying until her eyes burned, it seemed insignificant to them compared to a party. Sophia felt a wave of hurt, a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. She had always believed that family would be there for the milestones that mattered the most. Now, she wasn't so sure. Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to stand tall. When her name was called, she walked up the stage with steady steps, though her hands shook slightly. She shook the dean's hand, accepted the diploma, and smiled for the cameras, feeling the eyes of strangers but not the ones who mattered most. She posed for the official photos, her mind a swirl of disappointment and quiet fury. It was a strange mixed pride in herself for finally achieving this milestone, and heartbreak because those she loved most had chosen to celebrate someone else instead. After the ceremony, Sophia drifted away from the crowd, seeking solace in the quiet of the campus gardens. The autumn breeze whispered through the trees, carrying the faint laughter of friends and families celebrating together. Couples hugged, children ran around, and parents held cameras, capturing moments that Sophia had hoped would include her own. She walked slowly, letting the beauty of the moment sink in, though her chest still ached. Every corner she turned reminded her of what she had lost: her parents' presence, their pride, their support. It was then that she noticed Alex, a fellow graduate she had often seen in the library. Someone whose presence had always been comforting but subtle. He was tall, with kind eyes and a gentle smile that had a way of easing tension without words. He had admired her dedication from afar, shared brief conversations about research, exchanged quiet jokes over late-night study sessions. Now, seeing her standing alone amidst the celebration, he approached with careful steps, as if not to startle her. "Congratulations, Sophia," he said, holding out a single red rose he had plucked from the bushes nearby. The gesture was simple, yet it carried warmth, recognition, and care. Sophia's lips quivered slightly, a small smile breaking through the sadness that had settled over her. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a spark of something she hadn't expected: connection, attention, and validation from someone who genuinely noticed her. For the first time that day, she felt seen. They walked together slowly along the garden paths, talking quietly about the ceremony, their plans for the future. and the relief of finally completing years of demanding work. Alex listened attentively, his presence calm and reassuring. Sophia felt herself opening up, letting some of the weight of disappointment and hurt slip away. The conversation flowed naturally, moments of laughter punctuating the gentle melancholy that lingered from her parents' absence. Even as she felt comforted by Alex, the ache in her chest persisted. She couldn't shake the image of her empty family seats, the text message, and the realization that her parents had prioritized Michael's party over her doctorate. It was more than a simple choice. It was a reflection of how they saw her achievements, how much they valued her dreams. The thought stung, and yet it also ignited a quiet determination. Sophia decided she wouldn't let their absence define her day. She had worked for this moment. She had earned it. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the campus, Sophia found a quiet bench under a large oak tree. She sat down, holding the rose Alex had given her, and let herself breathe. The world around her was alive with celebration, yet she had carved out a small space of peace for herself. It was not the day she had imagined, not the family celebration she had dreamed of, but it was still hers. She could still find joy, even if it came from unexpected sources. Alex sat beside her, offering companionship without intrusion. They watched as the last graduates trickled out, families reunited, and the campus slowly emptied. Sophia reflected on her journey, the long nights, the challenges, the moments of doubt and triumph. She realized that achievements were not always validated by those who promised support, that they were still valuable. Her doctorate was hers, earned through her effort and resilience. Yet, even as she acknowledged this, a part of her couldn't help but feel longing. She wished her parents had been there, that they had recognized the significance of her accomplishment. She wished for a moment of pride, a hug, a photograph, something tangible to mark their presence in her milestone. The sadness was quiet, not overwhelming, but it lingered like a shadow, a reminder of the complicated dynamics of love, attention, and family. Alex reached out, lightly touching her hand. It was a gesture that spoke volumes: support, understanding, and a subtle hint of something more. Sophia felt warmth spread through her chest, a gentle comfort that softened the edge of her heartbreak. Maybe, she thought, not all joy comes from the sources we expect. Perhaps sometimes it comes from those who notice us in the quiet moments, who celebrate with us even when others do not. The night grew cooler, and the campus lights glimmered like stars. Sophia and Alex lingered, savoring the calm after the storm of emotions. She realized that this day, while not perfect, had shown her something important: her strength, her perseverance, and the possibility of connection beyond the disappointments of family. She wasn't alone, and her accomplishments were still meaningful. But even as she smiled and walked with Alex toward the parking lot, a quiet thought lingered in her mind. How would she face her parents later, when the initial excitement of the ceremony faded, and the reality of their choice became unavoidable? Would they even understand the depth of her hurt? Or would they continue to see Michael as the shining center of the family? The question hung over her like a soft shadow, unresolved and heavy, promising that the journey of emotions was far from over. As they parted ways for the evening, Sophia held the rose tightly, a small symbol of hope, validation, and new beginnings. The hurt remained, but it no longer defined her day. She had earned her doctorate, and she had found a flicker of warmth in someone who genuinely cared. The story of her graduation was not over, it had just begun. A tale of resilience, heartbreak, and the possibility of love and understanding in unexpected places. Sophia woke the next morning to the soft sunlight spilling through her bedroom window. The previous day's mix of pride and heartbreak still lingered, twisting inside her like a quiet ache. Her doctorate diploma lay on her desk, neatly framed. A a symbol of years of effort and late nights. Yet it now carried a subtle weight. The reminder that those who mattered most had not witnessed her triumph. Her phone buzzed, and a message from her mother appeared. "Sorry about yesterday. We didn't realize it would conflict with Michael's party. Can we come over tonight to celebrate?" Sophia stared at the screen, her fingers hovering, unsure what to feel. Relief, resentment, confusion. The words were polite, even affectionate, but they didn't erase the sting from yesterday. She typed a short reply. "I'll think about it." It was neither accepting nor rejecting, just a pause. She wasn't ready to let go of her feelings, and she wasn't sure her parents truly understood the depth of their absence. The thought of confronting them made her chest tighten, and yet part of her longed for closure, for the acknowledgement she had missed. Deciding to clear her mind, Sophia headed out for a walk along the nearby park. The air was crisp, and the leaves crunched beneath her feet. She remembered Alex's rose from yesterday, now sitting in a small vase on her bedside table. She hadn't expected much from him, a simple gesture, but his presence had made her feel seen in a way that was foreign yet comforting. As she walked, she felt the gentle pull of hope, fragile yet undeniable. Sophia's thoughts drifted back to her childhood. She remembered Michael always being the favored one, the star of every family story, every holiday photograph, every gathering. She had learned early to step back, to fade into the background, to celebrate others' successes while quietly nurturing her own dreams. Yet, her doctorate had been different. This was hers, monumental and defining. And the realization that her family had chosen him over her milestone was a bitter reminder of old patterns she had hoped were long behind her. Her phone buzzed again. Alex had sent a message. "Coffee later? You deserve some time away from the family drama." Sophia smiled faintly. She didn't know why, but he made the pain lighter, more bearable. She agreed, and they arranged to meet at a small cafe near campus. When she arrived, Alex was already there, sipping coffee and glancing up with a gentle smile. The warmth in his eyes was comforting, like a quiet anchor amid a storm. They talked about everything and nothing: future plans, favorite books, shared memories of their time in the program. Sophia found herself laughing, a sound that felt new and liberating after the tense energy of her graduation day. With Alex, there was no competition, no judgment, just genuine connection. Yet, amid the laughter, Sophia's mind couldn't help but drift back to her parents. She wondered if they would ever truly see her, recognize her achievements without comparing them to Michael's antics. Their absence yesterday had felt like a deep, quiet rejection, one that whispered she was always secondary in the family hierarchy. She admitted it even to herself. Her heart ached for the validation she hadn't received, a recognition that went beyond polite apologies. After coffee, they wandered through the city streets, the afternoon sun casting long shadows as people moved around them. Sophia felt a growing closeness to Alex, a subtle comfort that went beyond friendship. He seemed to understand the unspoken, filling spaces her parents had left empty. The touch of his hand as he guided her across a busy street, the careful attention in his voice, the way he noticed the little things. Each gesture chipped away at the sadness she carried dot by evening. Sophia returned home, unsure if she wanted to face her parents. The house was quiet, Michael's laughter from yesterday's party still echoing faintly in her memory. Her mother called again, more insistently this time. "Please, Sophia, just a small dinner tonight. We want to celebrate you." Sophia hesitated. She could feel the old patterns stirring. The pressure to forgive, the desire for familial love, the conflict between resentment and longing. She decided to meet them, cautiously, wanting to assert her feelings without losing herself in their expectations. She dressed simply, choosing comfort over glamour, and set off toward the restaurant where her parents had suggested meeting. When she arrived, she found her parents already there, looking a little uneasy. The moment was heavy with unspoken words. Her father offered a tentative smile, and her mother reached out for a hug, which Sophia accepted lightly. The embrace was polite, careful, and she could feel the distance between intention and understanding. The dinner began with small talk, polite inquiries about her research, compliments that felt rehearsed rather than heartfelt. Sophia listened, nodding, occasionally offering short answers. Her parents seemed aware that yesterday had hurt her, yet the depth of that hurt remained unacknowledged. She realized then that this dinner wasn't about genuine recognition. It was about appearances, a performance meant to smooth over guilt. Her mind wandered back to Alex, to the way he had seen her yesterday without judgment, to the way he had acknowledged her efforts simply because it mattered. She compared the warmth she felt with him to the formality at the dinner table. The contrast was sharp, a quiet revelation of what she truly needed: validation, respect, and care from those who mattered in her heart. Halfway through the meal, Michael bounded into the restaurant, laughing loudly, recounting stories from his pool party. Her parents' attention shifted immediately, their smiles brightening, their energy directed entirely toward him. Sophia felt her chest tighten, a mix of frustration and sadness bubbling up. This was the pattern she had known, the one she had silently endured for years. Michael thrived on attention. Her parents thrived on his charm. And she was expected to simply exist quietly in the background, even on her most important day. Sophia's fingers tightened around her napkin. She wanted to speak, to tell them how much their absence had hurt, how their choice had overshadowed her achievement, how she had waited for recognition that never came. Yet, the words felt heavy, loaded with years of resentment and disappointment. Instead, she stayed quiet, allowing the silence to speak, hoping they might notice. As the dinner progressed, Sophia excused herself to the restroom, her mind racing. Tears pricked at her eyes, not of anger, but of sorrow, of longing, of the ache of being overlooked by those who mattered most. She splashed water on her face, breathing deeply, trying to center herself. She realized that she couldn't rely on them for the validation she needed. Her worth wasn't contingent on their approval. Her accomplishments were hers alone, and her pride in herself had to be enough. Returning to the table, Sophia decided to steer the conversation elsewhere, focusing on light topics and shared memories, keeping the atmosphere neutral. She laughed when a story about a childhood mishap surfaced, but inside she felt a quiet resolve building. She understood now that love and recognition might come in unexpected forms, sometimes from those outside her immediate family. Later that evening, as the dinner ended, her parents offered tentative apologies, soft and cautious. Sophia accepted them lightly, aware that true understanding might not come immediately. Outside, the cool night air embraced her, and she walked slowly to her car, reflecting on the day. The ache of yesterday still lingered, but it no longer consumed her. She had faced the hurt, she had experienced the longing, and she had found glimpses of connection and care outside her family's shadows. Driving home, she thought of Alex, of the small gestures that had meant so much, and she realized that sometimes life offered unexpected warmth, even when the people you expected to be there weren't. Her heart was healing, slowly but surely learning to find love, recognition, and validation beyond the limitations of family patterns. As she placed her diploma safely on the desk, Sophia felt a quiet strength settling over her. She had endured disappointment, heartbreak, and the sting of being overlooked. Yet, she had also experienced kindness, connection, and the spark of something new, something real and gentle. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, and perhaps new opportunities for love and recognition. For now, she allowed herself to rest, cradling the hope that life could be fair in small, unexpected ways. And deep down, she knew that the story of her heart was just beginning. The wounds of yesterday would not define her, and the warmth she found outside her family's shadows might lead to something beautiful, something lasting, something she had never dared to imagine. The morning sunlight filtered gently through Sophia's window, casting warm streaks across her bedroom. She sat on the edge of her bed, holding her doctorate diploma, and let herself breathe. The past 2 days had been an emotional whirlwind. Her graduation, the absence of her parents, the bittersweet dinner, and the unexpected comfort from Alex. She had spent hours reflecting, realizing that validation could come from within. Yet the longing for parental recognition still lingered like a quiet shadow. Sophia had decided today would be different. She needed to confront her feelings, not with anger, but with honesty. She called her mother first. "Mum, I think we need to talk," she said, her voice steady, though tinged with vulnerability. Her mother's voice on the other end was hesitant but warm, a mixture of guilt and concern. "Of course, Sophia. Let's meet. I want to understand." They agreed to meet at a quiet cafe where they could talk without interruption. Sophia arrived early, her mind racing with everything she wanted to say. She wanted her mother to understand the depth of her hurt, the years of quiet sacrifice, and the significance of her achievements. She also wanted closure, a bridge to move forward rather than dwell on disappointment. When her mother arrived, she looked nervous but sincere. Sophia noticed the way her mother's eyes softened when she saw her, a hint of regret behind the usual warmth. They ordered coffee and settled into a corner booth, the ambient noise of the cafe providing a gentle buffer for what Sophia intended to say. "Mum," she began carefully, "yesterday hurt more than I can explain. I worked so hard for this moment, and I really wanted you and Dad there. I wanted to feel your pride, your support, but you chose Michael's party over my graduation." Her voice trembled slightly, though she spoke with clarity. Her mother took a deep breath, her hands clasping the cup in front of her. "Sophia, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I thought it wouldn't be a big conflict. We never meant to hurt you." Her words were genuine, but Sophia knew she had to express the impact, not just the intention. "I know you didn't mean to hurt me," Sophia continued, "but intentions aren't what I remember. I remember the empty seats, the moments you weren't there. And it stung, Mom. It stung more than I thought it would." Her mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I understand, Sophia. I see now how important it was for you, and I failed to prioritize it. I'm truly sorry." The apology was soft but heartfelt, the kind that comes after reflection and realization. Sophia felt a small weight lift from her shoulders, though the ache didn't disappear completely. They talked for a long while, sharing memories, acknowledging patterns from the past, and slowly unraveling years of unspoken feelings. Sophia listened to her mother's regrets and explanations, but she also expressed her own desire for acknowledgement, for being seen as more than a shadow behind Michael's brightness. The conversation was difficult, emotional, and raw, yet it was healing. After the cafe, Sophia felt lighter. The conversation hadn't erased the hurt, but it had offered clarity, understanding, and a pathway toward reconciliation. On the way home, she thought of Alex and the quiet support he had offered during the past days. She realized that while family mattered, love and validation could also come from those who truly noticed and appreciated her. Later that evening, Sophia received a message from Alex. "Dinner tonight? I'd like to celebrate you properly." She smiled, feeling a genuine warmth she hadn't experienced in days. Meeting him later, she found him waiting outside a cozy restaurant. He greeted her with a gentle smile, the kind that made her heart flutter quietly. During dinner, Alex made her laugh effortlessly, sharing little stories and observations from their shared academic experiences. He listened attentively, asked thoughtful questions, and offered small gestures of care, a hand brushing lightly over hers when they laughed, a warm look that lingered a second too long. Sophia felt a thrill of connection she hadn't realized she was longing for. As the night progressed, they walked along a quiet street lit by street lamps, the city around them calm and serene. Sophia shared her thoughts about the graduation, her parents, and the mixture of pride and disappointment she felt. Alex listened, never interrupting, only offering support and understanding. His presence felt like a balm, soothing the raw edges of her heart. "I'm glad you're finding your own way, Sophia," Alex said softly. "Your achievements are yours, and anyone who truly cares will see that, even if they don't always show it in the way we expect." His words were simple, yet they carried weight. Sophia felt a warmth in her chest, a quiet assurance that she wasn't alone in valuing her own worth. As they stopped by a small park bench, Sophia looked up at the night sky. The stars twinkled gently above, and a breeze stirred the leaves around them. For the first time in days, she felt a sense of calm and hope. Life had handed her disappointment, but it had also handed her moments of care, connection, and potential love. She realized that the heart was resilient. It could endure hurt and still find room for tenderness. Alex reached out, taking her hand in his. The gesture was gentle but intentional, a silent promise of support and attention. Sophia's fingers intertwined with his, and she felt a surge of emotion, gratitude, relief, and a quiet longing that had nothing to do with her family's neglect. Here was someone who saw her, truly saw her, and cherished the depth of her being. Days turned into weeks, and Sophia found a rhythm of healing. Her parents reached out more genuinely, offering gestures that reflected understanding rather than obligation. The relationship was still tender, cautious, but it was growing on a new foundation, one of acknowledgement and respect. Sophia realized that while past patterns couldn't be erased, they could be reshaped with honesty and dialogue. Her connection with Alex deepened naturally. They spent time together, not in grand gestures, but in moments of shared laughter, quiet conversations, and mutual support. Sophia felt the subtle thrill of attraction, not rushed or overwhelming, but gentle, promising, and comforting. She discovered that love could arrive quietly, at its own pace, in spaces where understanding and care flourished. One evening, as they walked back from a small art exhibit, Sophia paused. The city lights reflected in her eyes, the air crisp with autumn chill. "I never imagined yesterday's pain could lead to so much clarity," she said softly. Alex squeezed her hand gently, nodding. "Life has a way of surprising us," he said. "Sometimes the hardest days show us what we truly need, and who's really there for us." Sophia smiled, a mixture of relief and contentment. The ache of parental neglect hadn't vanished entirely, but it no longer defined her. She had faced the hurt, expressed her feelings, and opened her heart to connection beyond familiar boundaries. She felt proud, resilient, and quietly hopeful. Weeks later, at a small family gathering, Sophia noticed her parents' attention toward her had shifted subtly but unmistakably. They listened when she spoke about her research, asked meaningful questions, and offered genuine compliments. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Sophia realized that change didn't happen overnight, and acceptance sometimes came slowly. That the small gestures mattered, and she could feel the bridge being built, brick by careful brick. Alex remained a steady presence, his affection gentle yet firm, his attention sincere. Sophia found herself leaning on him, not out of need, but out of joy. He made her feel cherished for who she was, not just for what she accomplished or how she fit into someone else's narrative. Together, they laughed, explored, and shared quiet, meaningful moments. Sophia discovered that life could balance heartbreak and love, disappointment and joy, sometimes in the same breath. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Sophia reflected on her journey. She had faced disappointment, longing, and the quiet sting of being overlooked, yet she had also discovered resilience, self-worth, and the gentle promise of love. Life had not gone exactly as she had envisioned, but it had given her lessons, clarity, and connections that mattered. Holding Alex's hand, she felt a quiet sense of completion. Not in perfection, not in a flawless resolution, but in the understanding that love, recognition, and happiness could coexist, even amid lingering pain. She had earned her doctorate, she had found her voice, and she had opened her heart. The story of her heart was far from over, but it was hers to write, and she was ready for the next chapter. And as the night embraced the city, Sophia allowed herself to hope, not blindly, not naively, but with the quiet certainty that life, with all its complexities, could still be beautiful.